Hello, welcome to He's Hot, but something is off with me, just Joey T. All right. How's everyone doing today? I always feel like when I start the podcast, I'm naturally a very loud talker. And I think sometimes when I edit the podcast, uh, I'll do my intro and I'll do the fade out and I'll go soft and then I go bam and I start really loud when I start in with whatever I'm saying right after the intro. Hey, when was the last time you really took care of your skin? The skin is the largest organ in the whole human body and is doing so much for you. It protects you from germs and cooties. It keeps you warm when you're cold. It keeps you cool when you're hot. It's making vitamin D. It gives you the gift of touch and sensation. And that's just scratching the surface, so you better take care of it. I started my own skincare company, Serve Labs, to serve fun and functional skincare for everyone, so that you can serve fun while serving face. Go to servelabs.co, servelabs.co, or follow us at Serve Labs on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and discover how easy and fun it is to treat your skin right with Serve Labs. It's exciting today because I got a few things to announce. And the first thing is the Patreon. I had a couple people message me and ask me for the link to the Patreon because I've been talking about a little bit. I don't have quite as much content on there preloaded as I want, but it is in good enough shape for me to share the link for anyone who's curious and want to take a look at it. So the address is patreon.com/HHBSO. So the Patreon's just going to be using the He's Hot but Something's Not branding, if you will. Patreon.com/HHBSO. I'll put it in the description for the podcast episode. And I'll also probably link it on my Instagram. I also have a link tree, which is also under the Just Joey T. I'm looking at, the link tree and stuff that's linked on my Instagram profile just to make sure everything's coherent and, there's not a million links to a million different places. But patreon.com/HHBSO is the link for the Patreon for those that want you to take a look. And the tiers that I have on there, by the way, which, I can change those at any time and I'm not married to them. I did put some thought into them, but I don't have a lot of reference for to set them up. I feel like a lot of people, the other podcasters or YouTubers that I've seen, have a particular setup, and a lot of them, they start at $5, but I just thought $5 is a lot. And I also heard from some people that, not a lot, but some, that they're not really looking for anything to return, but they would like some way to donate small amounts of money to me. So I've also squeezed in a donation-only tier. So the way it is set up right now, there's a $1 a month donation-only tier that doesn't really get you anything, but it's for those who maybe you watch my videos on YouTube, you listen to this podcast on Spotify or your podcast app, you've enjoyed my advice, you're not willing to invest much money, but you would like to still support me somehow. There is a donation-only tier. So for $1 a month, so for $12 over the course of a year, which is the cost of, I recently, in New York, I paid $10 for a latte in New York City. Can you imagine that? For the cost of a Starbucks latte in New York City, you could support me for an entire year, 365 days. Think of how much coffee you buy, not just in a year, just in a month or even a week. Some people buy a Starbucks every single day. That's what, 10, okay, that was a venti, so it was an extra large. But, if you got a grande, that's still $6 or $7, honestly. So for a fraction of the price of your Starbucks coffee, a fraction of a fraction of a fraction, for a fraction of a cent a day, you can help support the podcast and my YouTube video. So I have a option there. And then the first kind of real tier where I'm giving you some actual stuff is for $3 a month, and you're going to get uncut which is going to be the extra podcast episode just for patrons, the Patreon subscribers, every single week. So I just recorded the first uncut episode. I just posted it a couple of days ago, or a few days ago by the time this is going to go up. And that is just going to be for Patreon subscribers. It's going to be a Patreon exclusive. And you're going to get the full video versions of all the podcast episodes without ads. I know that if you're watching this on YouTube right now, YouTube serves ads. And I'm also going to... honestly, I have the skincare business now. I'm going to insert ads for the skincare business into the podcast episodes and also the YouTube videos. Hey, because I'm running a business and I need to advertise, and if I don't advertise on my own social media and podcasts, that's just the smart thing to do. It's free advertising. So, I'm going to put ads for my own skincare line into the podcast and that kind of stuff. But all the episodes that you watch via Patreon, the extra bonus is that they're going to be ad-free. So you don't have to suffer through me plugging my own skincare line, I guess, when you're watching the podcast episodes within as a Patreon subscriber. Yeah, so that's the $3 tier. And I really want you guys' feedback for things that you guys want to see, whether the pricing is ridiculous or a good value or not, because a lot of people are charging $5 for their first tier. A lot of podcasters. I don't know how many people are going to want to pay $5 for the first tier. So I felt like $3 would be decent. The next tier up is $6. And in addition to all the podcast extras, the extra episodes, and not having ads and the full video versions, you're going to get access to vlogs. That's the big thing you get with the $6 tier. I used to vlog all the time. I've told you guys this before, and I would love to do vlogs again. So all the full-length vlogs are going to be there. I did one for New York. I told you guys it's a half hour long. That whole thing is on there. I was a little rusty vlogging in New York because it's been years since I vlogged, and that was in the middle of a trip, and I just kind of sort of did it. Some of it was muscle memory that came back, riding a bike. Some of it was I need to, get some more practice in and get reacquainted with the finer points of vlogging. And I also vlogged my Taipei trip that is being edited and will be posted on Patreon very, very soon. And just the other day, I had David in my house. He was on a layover, and we just randomly did a 8 or 10 minute vlog. We're just chatting, and that became a random vlog. So there's gonna be travel vlogs where I'm actually on a trip and I just vlog the trip at various points, and also just quote unquote random vlogs where I'm just vlogging something random, when me and David was hanging out, we had a conversation. I vlogged that. So the vlogs are the big part of it. Also, anything else that I post onto my Patreon feed, starting from that $6 tier, you're gonna see all those things as well. Ramblings, musings, my opinions on things. If everyone write up something that I want you guys to read, you're gonna get to see all that with that $6 tier. And also, especially for the uncut episode that's just for Patreon subscribers, I want that to be more around topics you guys suggest. So at this, tier, anything that you guys suggest in terms of podcast topics or questions, you guys are, those are going to get priority over the comments on YouTube, for example. Finally, there's going to be Discord access starting from this tier. I don't know how popular the Discord's going to be. There's a chat function natively on Patreon. I'm not exactly sure how it works. Once I get some subscribers there, I'll just test it out with you guys. The Discord thing was free to set up and everyone else is doing it. But I feel Discord really only works well if there are a lot of subscribers, enough subscribers that you guys would build a community. I don't know how many, there's 3 of you out there watching this podcast, listening to this podcast. So I don't know how many people we can get on the Discord. It'll be there. If it doesn't work, whatever. It didn't cost me any money to set up Discord. You can set up free servers and stuff like that. But it's included starting from that tier. So there you go. Finally, the $10 tier is for any super fans I have out there that really, really want to support me to that top level. And you get everything in the previous tiers, but you also get a monthly live stream where you get to hang out with me virtually on a video call kind of a thing, basically. And then I also, for these top supporters, basically, I will record a personalized greeting so that I can like actually thank you in person, at least via personalized video message for, being like a top supporter of my work. And I also want to do like member shout outs for those people that do subscribe to that top tier. If you want to, you can opt out of that if you want. But I've always thought like, you've seen other people that have Patreons that are like YouTubers, for example, and do shout out of like the top members. I thought that was like a cool thing. So I threw that in there as well. So definitely open to feedback and suggestions on other things you guys would like to see in terms of like content or offerings or perks, whether like the tiers are like too expensive or like, I guess no one's going to complain something is like too cheap, but like I'm totally open to like, I would rather the price be like a little bit lower and just have more people want to sign up for it. Yeah, I'd rather go a little more for like volume than going for like a more premium product and have like a higher price. This is not some luxury good. Okay, so give me feedback on what you guys think the pricing is like versus like what I'm offering. If it's like a good value, if it's something that would like entice you to want to subscribe, or you think the pricing is too high or anything like that. But yeah, I am gonna be regularly starting this week posting that uncut episode and also posting for my daily life whenever I feel like vlogging some moment of my life. I'll just turn on the camera and I'll just vlog and I'll throw a video up there. It will be very like unfiltered, like really unedited. It's just like me turning on a camera when something happens or like have a thought about something. Like, when I was with Dave, we're just literally hanging out in my living room watching TV, which just happened to be talking about something interesting. We found a cockroach in the guest bathroom, which is still haunting me to this. That was like 2 days ago and it's still haunting me all these hours later. That is the Patreon. Now, there's going to be some slight changes to the podcast outside of Patreon. I've been doing a video version of the podcast on the podcasting app. So I upload it through Spotify, but then Spotify distributes it to all the other podcast apps out there, like Apple Podcasts, Amazon, whatever app or platform, a podcasting platform you're getting your podcasts from. The video version of that is going to go away. So starting this week, probably, you're only going to get the audio version of the podcast from the podcasting apps. For the YouTube version, okay, I'll be honest with you guys. I did think about, I'm not as nice a person as you think I am, honestly. I did have a thought about, well, let's make the video version only for the subscribers. Like that's like an extra perk of subscribing is, if you subscribe, you get the video version. If you don't subscribe, it would just be audio. Because the vast majority of podcasts are just audio, right? But I've decided on YouTube, you still get the video version of the podcast, but you're going to get like the ads from YouTube, unless you have YouTube Premium, which you would be paying money for anyways. And now it takes away all the ads from YouTube. I think I'm just going to keep that there. I watch podcasts where it's like a 30-minute long podcast, let's say. And for the first 5 or 10 minutes, it's just like a regular video podcast and you see their face. And then after that, like it blanks out. I feel like if I want to listen to a podcast that's just audio, then that's where I'll go to Spotify or whatever podcasting app that I have. If I'm trying to watch it on my TV, if I'm trying to watch YouTube on my TV and I pick a podcast, like I actually want to see the people. And it's kind of annoying if I don't see that person. So I've decided on YouTube, you will still get the full video version of the podcast. And I'm not going to just like show my face just for the first 5 minutes and then blank out the rest. You'll see my face throughout the whole thing, but you will get ads. I will be plugging, my skincare line. It'll be inserted into the YouTube version, the public YouTube version, the ads and stuff. I used to have a influencer deal with JJ Malibu, which they're not sponsoring this episode, by the way. I should get back in touch with them. I don't mind plugging their stuff. If they send me some free clothes, I'll plug their stuff everywhere. They did send me free clothes before. Half my closet is JJ Malibu stuff, but it was all free. I love free stuff so much. Nothing. There's a line from the movie Crazy Rich Asians where girls having this bachelorette party. And one of the first things they do at this bachelorette party is that there's like a free-for-all shopping spree where it's like, take what you can carry, okay? And these two girls are, all these girls are like stupid rich, right? These are like stupid rich girls. like millionaire, billionaire families. And then, they're all like fighting over each other for like the clothes just because it's free. And then these two girls who like aren't fighting over every fucking last piece of clothing. They're like, no one likes free stuff more than rich people, which I thought was hilarious. So I'm going to keep the video version on YouTube, but with some ads. And yeah, if JJ Malibu or someone wants to sponsor me and give me some free stuff, I'll talk about their stuff. So that's the big announcement today. And I've got some. Oh, okay. I wanna show you guys one more thing before I end this podcast. And by the way, I'm gonna try to keep the podcast to about like 25-ish minutes. I'm gonna really try that now that I've got multiple. Oh wait, there's one big announcement I forgot to talk about. No, besides the Patreon, I was wondering. Second thing is, okay, can I tell you something for real? Skincare is not really a sexy topic. No one's waking up in the middle of the night thinking, oh my God, I have to take care of my skin. I know I talk a lot on the podcast. I have a lot of opinions and I have a lot of advice to give. But if you don't listen to me about anything, listen to me about this. You have to take care of yourself and you also have to take care of your skin. I believe in it so much and I think it's such a critical thing that I started my own skincare company, Serve Labs, to serve fun and functional skincare for everyone. And you know what? Not to toot my own horn, but people are always telling me, your skin looks so good and I can't believe how old you are. Do you know why? Because I've been taking care of my skin for many years. But I know for a lot of you, skincare just sounds like another chore. But I want to make it fun. And that's where Serve Labs comes in. Go to servelabs.co, servelabs.co, or follow us at Serve Labs on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, and discover how easy and fun it is to treat your skin right with Serve Labs. I am going to break off all of the cruise, party, travel related podcast topics into its own podcast. So basically, I'm launching a second podcast. So right now, the working title is the Gay Cruise and Travel Podcast with Just Joey T. Something like that. If you guys would like to suggest a better, catchier, but not cheesy name, go nuts in the comments. I did try to ask AI. I did ask Gemini to come up with some names for me, and I didn't like them that much. It's going to launch this coming week or like the week after. So, that's going to be, I'm setting it up on Spotify and YouTube and stuff. I'm working out the details. But it's going to appear as a completely separate podcast in your podcasting app. And on YouTube, I need to find a way to like set it up on YouTube. But don't worry, I'm going to link everything eventually. But I'm seeing a distinct audience for the cruise stuff. And the whole Just Joey T channel is like pretty much all cruise videos. And that's kind of what people want, the people that are subscribed there. Most of my YouTube subscribers don't want this, what we're talking about right now. But there's definitely like a few hundred of you. Oh, sorry, the three of you. By the numbers, it looks like actually a few hundred that actually tune into this podcast regularly. So I'm splitting off that separate podcast. Will have a different name. And it's going to be just like cruise topics, gay travel, gay cruise, gay party topics. So that is going to debut probably next week. And it will be its own separate podcast. And it will be linked. Once it goes live, I will get you guys that info. The one thing I wanted to show you guys is, now that I've kind of sort of got, in a way, 3 separate podcasts. So we have this, He's Up and Something's Not, which still goes out every Thursday. And it's available publicly like it's always been. And there'll be an ad-free version for Patreon subscribers. And then we have Uncut, which is the second podcast episode every week of He's Up and Something's Off, just for Patreon subscribers. And that would not be available to people who are not subscribed. That's going to be a Patreon exclusive. And then we're going to have the Gay Cruise and Travel podcast with Just Joey T. That will be effectively a third podcast every week. I think long and hard before committing to 3 separate things. But I think I can do it. So I'm just going to try. And that will be its own podcast. It will come out as a separate podcast in your podcasting apps. It will be a separate podcast on YouTube as well. Yeah, and so because I have these three different ones, I wanted three different theme music or like the intro music. And I just figured it out. So I'm gonna give you guys a preview. So this is the music we're gonna keep using for the regular HHBSO something's off, which is the music that you heard at the very beginning of this podcast episode. But it goes like this. This is what you've heard the last 70 some odd episodes of this podcast. I've got a slightly different one for the uncut version. And the uncut intro music sounds like this. It took me an hour to decide because I was like so non-committal and like nothing sounded quite right. But this is what the uncut episode's intro music is gonna be. And for the Gay Cruise and Travel podcast, I wanted something that was a little more like party. It's not all about parties, but I wanted it to be a little more party-er. So I wanted something that was like a little spicier, but I couldn't quite find like a good sound for it. So I defaulted to, don't kill me, I just defaulted to circuit music. And this is what it sounds like. So that'll be the intro music. I've already had second thoughts about doing that particular snippet of circuit music for the intro music for the Cruise and Travel podcast. So it's possible that by the first episode that goes up, it's a slightly different. But it's not at the gym, so I was listening to some music. I was like, oh, this other circuit song might sound better for the intro music. But yeah, there you go. We're gonna split that off into its own separate podcast. All right. I'm actually gonna go record the next episode of the Uncut podcast right after this one. So, yeah, please support your indie content creators. Even if you don't feel like doing a subscription, at least say thank you or something. A lot of creators will take like one-time donations if you don't want to be set up to be charged. Only $1 a month, okay? For $12. Only $12 for the entire year, you can support one of your favorite content creators. Me. All right, until next time. Bye, y'all.